Hello everyone, welcome to the Haunted House. My name's Ghost. Welcome back to another episode of History with a Ghost. Happy 4th of July to my American friends. America is a amazing place, most of the time, at least. So much history, so much to be proud of. For today's video, for the 4th of July, I wanted to cover something interesting about America. So, today we are talking about Betsy Ross, creator of the American flag. Well, not really. We are going to be dispelling the myth about her today. Ross was born on the 1st of January 1752 in Gloucester City, New Jersey. Her mother was Rebecca Griscom and her father was Samuel Griscom. She was the ninth of 17 kids, to which only 9 survived. Her mother was busy. Ross and her family were deeply religious. They were Quakers, which is like a branch of Christianity. When she was 3, her and her family moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. While growing up, she did go to school, but from records we have today, it seems she dropped out early at the age of 12. The one school she attended was Quaker Friends Public School in Philadelphia. People of the Quaker belief were pretty industrious, at least Ross's family were. When she left school, she, around 1765, the exact date isn't known, would become a apprentice upholsterer under her great aunt, Sarah Elizabeth Griscom. For people who don't know, a upholsterer are tradesmen who mostly repair furniture, so like repairing padding on the chairs and sofas, fixing the wooden frame on them, or in modern day, replacing the springs. They also fix things like blinds and stuff. They are also heavily schooled at sewing, which would be a key interest of upholstery for Ross. After a while, she would become an apprentice under a different person named William Webster. While under Webster, she would meet a guy by the name of John Ross, nephew of George Ross Jr., a founding father of the United States. John and Ross quickly got along and in 1773 got married at a place called Hugg's Tavern in Gloucester City. Because she got married to someone outside of the Quaker belief, she was shunned out by her family, and was kicked out. Not long after getting married, Ross finished her apprenticeship, and her and John opened up a upholstery shop in Philadelphia in 1775. You can see her shop today in Philadelphia on 239 Arch Street. It's also where she and John lived together. The business was a major success. They were they got a pretty good income. Going forward, it would be pretty quiet for Ross and John until April 19th when the American Revolution broke out. John Ross immediately went to help with the revolution, joining the Pennsylvania Provisional Militia. While a part of the militia, he was tasked with guarding ammunition uh, in a depot when supposedly he was killed after they exploded. That's all that's known. It's not known how they exploded, but if I had to guess, his outpost got bombed and the munitions got caught fire and exploded. It said that Betsy just continued with her business, took full charge. 1700s were crazy. Not even a tear for your husband. Damn. Um, the months after her husband's death, she would make uniforms and other equipment for the Continental Army until eventually George Washington apparently met Betsy Ross with two congressmen, Robert Morris and George Ross, in May or June of 1776. Again, the exact date isn't known. It's said during this time visit, George showed a sketch of the flag that he wanted made. Betsy Ross liked the idea, but suggested the stars on the flag be five pointed, not six pointed, as it was easier to make, demonstrating by folding a piece of paper, fabric, and making a single cut, producing the five pointed star. This event is complete BS. This is a myth created by her family. This story wouldn't even appear until almost a century later in 1870 by her grandson William J. Canby, who submitted a story that he'd put together from myths from other family members to the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, basically a library in Pennsylvania. There was no records before his story, which, for such a significant event, if true, they would have. This myth was popularized even more in 1893 by a man named Charles Weisgerber, a painter. He created a painting called The Birth of Our Nation's Flag, the photo of Ross I've been using this whole time. He supposedly showed it at a fair first, which is the most random place to show a painting like that. That um, and is currently placed at the State Museum of Pennsylvania. So yeah, the story of her meeting Washington is BS. Though I will say, is most likely, she is the reason for the U.S. flag stars having 5 points and not six. And she did actually make other flags. She made the ensign for the Pennsylvania Navy. After this fairy tale meeting with George Washington, uh, she kind of just went back to running her business. There's not much else to talk about. Though on the 15th of June 1777, she would marry her second husband, Joseph Ashburn. It's not known. It's not known how they met, but Joseph was a privateer, and eventually in 1780, his ship was captured by the Royal Navy, and he was arrested and charged with treason for basically just being in the US during the Revolution. Such BS. He was sent to Old Mill Prison in Plymouth, England, where he died not long after. He caught some illness there. It's not known which one. Eventually, Ross was notified of his death by a guy named John Clowpool. He was apparently on the ship with Joseph and arrested as well, but made it out. Those two would also get along, and Clowpool would become Ross's third and last husband, getting married in May of 1783. This would be Ross's most successful relationship, going for 20 or so years before Clowpool died in 1817 from, quote, poor health. They had five kids while together. One died at birth. They got busy. She continued to run her business for 10 more years after this, before quitting and shutting it down in 1870, 22, sorry, 1822. She not long after shutting it down moved in with one of her daughters, Susanna Satterwhite, in Abington, Pennsylvania. Around this time, Ross's eyesight started to fail. It's not known why. but she went blind eventually. She moved back to her hometown a couple years later to live with another family member before on the 30th of January 1836 she died at the age of 84. She was buried at a place called the Free Quaker Burial Grounds on North 5th Street in Philadelphia, of course. Uh, but she would be moved around after a while, ending up in multiple graveyards before finally resting at her shop I mentioned earlier, the Betsy Ross House in Philadelphia on 239 Arch Street. And that's the real story of Betsy Ross. Again, I hope you all have a great 250th. If you like this video, please give it a like and a follow, and I'll see you next time. Bye.